Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I've created Magic and Miracles in order to help people of all walks of life achieve their manifestation goals. I've been a coach for 9 years total now, 2 years on YouTube, and I've created my coaching packages specifically for the YouTube audience in order for them to achieve their manifestation goals in as little time as possible. I've condensed all of my knowledge on all of my research that I've done for the last 15 years and coached for 9 and composed this coaching program, finessed it, really maneuvered all the tweakings and perfections that I wanted to create in my coaching program to make sure this is a bulletproof coaching program and works every single time if you're open, honest, humble, and receptive to my feedback and doing everything that I'm suggesting you do. You don't have to, but if I suggest something, you should really take it to heart. And those who have succeeded every single time. In order to be in my coaching, you need to pre-book, sign the coaching agreement, and understand I recommend 2 to 3 months on average for my coaching program to be completed. Now, after that, you have the option of coming back sometime later for some touch-ups, and many people have done that. But in order for me to go through everything I do in my coaching, which is a 3-step process, first we cover the history. I need to know the code to your reality, i.e. your beliefs, okay? Everything you're working with right now, consciously or unconsciously, walking around in the movie theater of your subconscious mind. And I'm ever so interested in what that is composed of. After that, we process emotions. And really potentially some trauma. I've dealt with that many times. Processing all of this and softening it, revising it, however we need to deal with this in coaching so that you can detach yourself from this past timeline. And then and only then I embark on this marvelous journey, of course, of teaching you how I manifest, how I've taught thousands of people how to manifest. I teach you energy work, which makes your manifestations just kind of skyrocket. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And people who have adapted this way of manifesting and completely understand what and how to do it really excelled in my coaching. And so, like I said, after that, I always catch up with my clients. How you doing? What's going on? I don't just leave you hanging. If you have a question, my door is always open. And you have the touch-up sessions. Now, recently, I started offering payments in installments. So that option is available for the signature package, which I recommend, on the go package for sessions, and also the video school. If you need the link for the installment payments for any other product that I have on my website, you can reach out to me. Now, the way to access this link on my website is you click directly on the product. The link will be all the way on the bottom where it says, if you want to pay in installments, this is the link for you. All right. If you have any questions, email. So I'm recording this super duper inspired, actually, and I have so many fucking thoughts in my mind, and I really hope that I put all of them into this audio. The channeling process has begun. So first of all, before I forget, really important, I wanted to thank everybody for attending my live, for Ketvi, always for guarding the fort. And I wanted to extend my special thank you to Sophie, who was so gracious, so lovely, so accommodating, and, really just, you were great, Sophie. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, if anybody else wants to come on for a session, live with me, I'm open to that completely. Just not this coming live on Saturday, but maybe the one after that. All right. I had a great time, and I have some comments. This is a very common silhouette of a story, I would say, where a parent directly affects their child. I mean, that in and of itself is not new. But I've dealt now with thousands of women with a similar story where your self-esteem gets such a blow by a parent And parenthesis here, I want to say, like, I wanted to say a lot more. I'm sure so did Sophie. It's just that in public it gets a little bit awkward. One for me, because I don't want to entirely reveal my coaching methods completely. You must understand, people watch me. I'm aware people are watching me just for information, excuse me, purely just to copy me. I'm aware of that. So I don't want to expose my methods completely. But I understand that, it's live, and a lot more would have been said on both sides, and that I know for sure. But it's very common that the situation happens in childhood and affects you so unconsciously that you don't even understand that it does. And two, it's such a repetitive thing, in particular with me. I don't know about other coaches, but people pleasers is the name of the game in my coaching, meaning a lot of them in my coaching. People who were taught to just not believe in themselves, and made fun of, bullied. In some cases, just really deprived of their opinion, their needs not being met, emotional, just any kind of needs. And that really deprives you later on of constructing a person who is really confident in themselves and can really confidently create their reality. This is how big a deal this is. So before you jump into another manifestation video of any kind that, doesn't really address the big issue, I really want you to think like really hard, because this happens to me every single time in my coaching. Your SP is truly the least of your worries. It's just an accessory that comes with the reality in which you'll end up inevitably if you correct your own shebang, if you correct your own story, your own mind. That's what this really is about, because this is a lot more is at stake here than just your SP. It's your self-esteem, it's your life, it's your ability to earn money, it's your ability, yes, to be in a relationship, confident, beautiful person that you should be, commending the best. And it happens like over and over and over in my coaching, where I see people sabotage their own fucking happiness because they cannot accept what they really do, what's really, what they really deserve, what they say that they want. They say they want it, but underneath it is an entirely different story going on, emotionally so active that it just nullifies every single affirmation you will say, single visualization, whatever kind of technique that you employ, because inside there is a voice that tells you otherwise. It's just repeating itself on a loop throughout the day. And as somebody who had a particularly abusive mother, and here's the other thing, before I forget this completely, because I meant to say this in session, but I didn't, because to me it was just so blatantly obvious. But it's so interesting to me how people pleasers always find excuses for their for the people who neglected them and or abused them. It's really interesting. And I used to be one of these people. And this is how I recognize it. And I think the number one thing, first of all, my coaching is how it's different. I want to say this, is that I want to heal you first before you start, becoming this master magician. Your energy needs to be healed. And that you're no longer looking for fucking excuses for other people. You hold them accountable. It's like I say, give people back their bullshit. You hold them accountable for their shit show behavior. And I know it's very hard. I know it. I know it from my own personal experience. But you know what? This is where your freedom lies, honestly. Where you're able to sit down and say, mom, dad, whoever, did whatever to you, or even your SP or whoever, this was fucked up. Now, you don't have to say it to them in person, but that you can literally, energetically give them back their bullshit for them to deal with this shit. And For the first time, accept that you did nothing wrong to deserve that. Certainly not from your parents. And if you did nothing wrong, then why the fuck would you be then paying the price for their behavior today? They told you a lie. They told you a lie. Whether they themselves were not capable of being a better parent, or they just outright, in some cases, I've had this in my coaching over and over again, had mental issues. That completely is not your fault. It's not your problem. You need to take the power back over your life and start deciding what is right for you. And I just recorded an audio from my other channel, Magic and Miracles too. By the way, subscribe. The links are below. Where I talk about how I changed my mind about money when I was 12. Now, you're going to laugh at that, but up until that point, I thought my life is just, I'm going to live in poverty or whatever. We weren't poor, but, there were moments that were just kind of like questionable because my mother was mismanaging money that my dad would give her. In other words, you really need to attack this system that operates against you. Okay, you really need to start questioning if my life is is at a standstill, and if I'm struggling in a certain area, there must be somebody else's influence there. It isn't authentic. All right, it isn't made up of divine energy that I deliberately chose for myself to do good things. So if that's the case, then whose influence am I under? Whose advice, whose influence did I just accept, no questions asked, and now I think those things about myself? And a lot of things you will find, as simplistic as that sounds, it works like clockwork. When you start really molding your own ideas about how things should be down to the last detail in your world, and when you reject the ideas that do not serve you, even though they may be ever so hidden, and this is where coaching comes in and is very handy because I don't know how, I'm just good at, digging things out of people. I don't know how. Many people have told me just like nobody else knows this but you. Just nobody else ever, like not one person but you. And I appreciate that, of course, but it just means that, I guess they're comfortable with me is what it means. But you really need to dig deep and to realize that the simplicity of the truth is that you bought into an idea. You need to part with it. It's never too late. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many times you've tried. You need to part with an idea that you agreed to, and now you're suffering because of that, right? And in the case of people pleasing, it's obvious. The people pleasing will get you nowhere because you're too busy trying to go around people please people who don't even deserve your fucking people pleasing. Number one, you worry too much about everybody else and spreading around your energy that should be used for your own manifestations. It's just physics. It's just quantum physics. So let's get into the subject here today. And I'm going to kind of refer back to the session because I'm pretty sure I had other things to say. So the subject of today is your magnetic silent dominance turns your SP into a puppet. Okay. I'm looking forward to the really deeply religious people shunning me for this title, but I don't care. It's exactly what it sounds like, okay? You're already doing it. You're just doing it reverse. So your magnetism comes from claiming authority over your life. You don't have to step over anybody's toes. You don't have to, there's no free will, okay, of anybody else's other than yours in your reality. With the exception, obviously, that you cannot harm anybody. Otherwise, you're fucked. Forgetting about this can really drive you into trouble, that you have full control over your life. That things don't just happen, okay? They happen by design. Even if it looks like shit, it's there to ultimately teach you something. And this is for your own development. The magnetism then comes when you can turn that power authoritatively in a very profoundly and profusely beneficial way towards yourself. So much so that others will think, like many people, I'm sure, who are my haters, that I'm some kind of a witch, that I have like, sinister powers and this and that. Well, is it sinister? To me, it's more sinister to harm your life and continue living unconsciously, not knowing that you have this magnetism. But that's beside the point. And so when you've worked out the issues that were holding you back from claiming this authority, and just getting up one day and being fed up, really just absolutely fed up with the way that things are. Some of you are not fed up enough. Otherwise, you would be doing something about it. Just saying. And saying to yourself, well, there must be a better way. And there is. There really is. You're no longer depending on other people's opinions, on other people's, whatever they did to you. The forgiveness needs to take place. Even thanking them for the experience. Completely detaching yourself from anybody's opinion, good or bad, it doesn't matter. And holding your own counsel. This makes you a magnetic superstar beyond anybody's reach. You're in your own fucking competition situation game. Like nobody can match you. Because people are so influenced, the society really kind of like almost encourages us to pay attention to what other people think. It's the other way around. The people who are the most magnetic and make the most money, they don't give a shit about what anybody else is doing. They have their own counsel. They have like-minded people who think like them. Otherwise, forget it. This is how exclusive of a club it really is if you want to dominate your SP or your money or whatever. It's get behind the wheel for at last. Once and for all, you should be the one behind the wheel and not take any crap from anybody, much less from your SP. And it doesn't matter what it looks like right now. Because if one morning you got up in the morning and started really claiming this power, you would realize that it's just a decision away, okay? Provided that you've dealt with your trauma panorama and no longer are attached to this garbage that you cannot bring into a new magnetic reality. It just doesn't match. Frequency is not the same. Okay, you want to know what true magic looks like is when you match the frequency of your desired reality. It's as simple as that. If I'm a magnetic person who has completely silent dominance over my reality, I don't sweat, I don't run around, I don't beg, I don't chase. The world is chasing me. Okay, so if that's the case, then why the fuck would I care what my SP is doing right now? Or did for a number of years before, or did with another person? Or why the fuck would I care what is the norm, or what is the usual outcome, or what people say may be the outcome, or whatever. Why would I give a shit? This you have to part with. This is my profound, big, huge, gigantic advice for anybody who wants to exclusively manifest on purpose with magnetism. When you know for a fact that this is your power to say no and to say yes to things that you want, to say no to things you don't want, to say no to people's opinions, and to only say yes to your opinion, now you're just finally starting to drive this Rolls Royce of a car that you are. You were meant to be driven in a very specific way, not just discombobulated, not feeling sorry for yourself. Imagine you're a $500,000 car and you're feeling sorry for yourself. What's wrong with you? No, the engine, somebody came and fucked with your engine. That's what happened. You're a magnetic human being. You need to take back your magnetism and claim it. You could tell the difference between a confident person and a non-confident person at one glance. It's in their eyes. It's what they're thinking about themselves 24/7, or for the majority of the time, at least. It's what they choose to say about themselves. It's how they put themselves together. All right. It's everything. It's their aura. They know that they dominate the situation with their presence, because they have the answers. They have the answers that they're not looking for other people. In other words, I don't care what you think about me. I know what I think about me. And most importantly, I know what I think about my reality. In other words, this is my universe and I rule it. So I'm not really taking any counsel other than my own. And if that's the case, then in your reality, your SP is indeed your puppet. You just don't know how to be a good puppeteer for the moment. For the moment, you don't. But you could become an excellent puppeteer if you start examining what it is I'm thinking 24/7 about myself, about my SP, about my money, and about everything else. How is it that I feel? Do I feel empowered? Do I feel secure? Do I feel confident? Do I feel safe? Do I feel loved? Do I feel accepted? And if any of these things are missing in your life, then you haven't given them to yourself. Don't wait for your parents to change. Don't wait for somebody to give you an apology. Don't wait for anything. You need to provide this peace for yourself. And this is why the coaching is so powerful, because the real irony of the things is that everybody's looking for that apology. If you really forgive somebody, the apology is going to come to you. Okay, if you start thinking of yourself as the mega star, that you are in your profession, you will gravitate towards that situation that will make you this superstar. People will start noticing you. Things will just start coming out of the ground, it seems. Likewise, you have to think that you're a catch, that you're an absolute catch for this person. And the way that you make them think that is by thinking of yourself, those things. Yeah, I am hot like that. I am the catch like that. I am wonderful like that. You don't have to be the most beautiful person in the world. You don't have to be the most talented person in the world. You don't have to be the wealthiest person in the world. But to you, you're all that, okay? And a bag of chips, as they say. You're all that. You're the golden Buddha. There's nobody like you. You're like, it's one of a kind. Like they make these furniture pieces in France. It's just one of a kind, custom made. That's you, my darling. If you want to put your derriere on this kind of like a piece of furniture, you better be, qualified. And that's you too with your relationships. Are you qualified to be in a relationship with me? Quite frankly, not the other way around. Because a lot of you not for nothing people pleasers, there's so much energy going out on the emphasis of being good enough for them. You have never, maybe ever, asked yourself the question, are they good enough for me? You're so used to thinking in reverse. It's like, well, wait a minute, but is this even what you want? And sometimes it's not, Sometimes it might not end up this person at all. It may be somebody else entirely. And that's totally normal, because once you shift your expectations and you're expecting different things out of yourself, out of your life, the magnetic power that you have, it might not even be gravitating towards that person anymore, because you know what? After all, I think I can do better. How you like that? The magnetism is also composed of your passions. Doing what you love is so important. Like I discussed with Sophie in live session, make a list of things that you'll do for yourself. This is a must. I mean, I've been talking about this on my channel for ever since I started. Smell the roses, bubble bath. I like incense, for instance. I like drinking tea. These little things that just make your life come alive with passion, with love. And when you really deliberately choose the things you love, you have this dominant power of love in your life, this energy. So surrounding yourself, not only with people, but with things that remind you of who you are, your vibration. There's certain things that you gravitate towards, like certain foods, certain art. Sophie said she does art, certain I don't know, music, etc., etc. It has a vibration. So overall, the vibration of a magnetic person is completely different. A magnetic person listens to a certain kind of tune of songs, let's just say, because they're inspirational. A magnetic person takes care of their body. They don't, binge on food, etc., right? Because you think of yourself so high, I'm not going to do this to my body anymore, you could say, all right? A magnetic person doesn't accept crumbs from a person, is ready to walk away, doesn't really care if somebody agrees with them or not, because they still think they're wonderful. And I feel like this Desire to be validated by your SP or anything else is also another thing that needs to cease entirely. If you're validating yourself, that is all that's necessary for the entire world to validate you too. But it has to come from a real deep knowing, self-acceptance, and true love towards yourself. Not in a narcissistic way, God no, but in a very like, I accept you way. You deserve the best things. I want to take care of you. I want to offer you the best experience in this earthly world. Do you realize how powerful this energy is of self-love? Self-love. It has no bounds. It's unlimited. It's literally so expanding that it's going to open up a whole new world for you. You would hardly believe what is possible for you right now. Just like I told Sophie, there's so much potential in you. I could just feel it from you. And I just could. And I felt like telling her that because that's what was coming through for me. A lot of my clients, I feel like this is, actually all of my clients, well, not a lot, all of them. Every single one of you, you have untapped potential. And you really need to take inventory of that. What am I not achieving? What am I not offering to myself to achieve here? This energy is so powerful that not only your SP will come running back to you, but opportunities will open up, the healing will take place. I don't care how long you've had this issue that you're dealing with, it will be dissolved. Because overall, the magnetic, passionate, completely dominant power in your world is love, passion, and things are according to my plan in a benevolent way, of course, but I need to take care of myself. I need to make sure that, everything is according to my wishes. This is powerful shit. This self-respect, this kind of self-love, it creates magic. This is what we're talking about. And then when you really see how the universe responds to that kind of tune, ooh, baby, it's time to play jazz. Like really, really. Then you have no doubt in your mind. You're gonna be like collecting evidence of your manifestations all day long. Seriously though, small and big. You're gonna be just noticing things like you just sit, you're not even writing down anymore, perhaps. But definitely writing things down is like declaring to the universe, like, I'm serious about this shit. We do a lot of writing in my coaching. You better be ready. It really stimulates your mind unlike anything else. And not on a computer, mind you, but by hand with a pen and paper. That's how your mind is activated the most. And you really need to write things down for yourself and intend for them to happen. And sometimes not even writing down, like I said. Just the intention went out of your consciousness into the quantum field, and voila, the manifestation is in front of you. So what makes you think that just in the same manner that you cannot manifest small little things here and there, just like all of you do, I know, you cannot manifest a change of mind in your SP, a drop of third party, a proposal of marriage, an apology, a text of, I'm so sorry, I made a huge mistake, it was always you. For you, it represents a challenge, meaning like you don't believe that this is possible because you've never seen it, or it's just challenging to accept that it's possible for you, for somebody like you. But that's the stuckness. When you unstuck yourself from this non-magnetic way of thinking that I don't deserve it, I gotta take the cue from my parents, they know better, or maybe I'm not good enough, and all these kinds of things, this completely demagnetizes you and places you completely impotent in terms of, going into the reality in the direction of your dreams. So the magnetic power that you hold is self-validation, offering yourself this experience and supporting your own dreams by declaring like this is it. This is the day that I start utilizing my power. I've always been the king or queen of my reality. Right now is the time that I'm going to start deciding. If something happens, if it really is powerfully done, and there's a shift in your consciousness from victimhood to really starting like realizing what's what. And I have not just didn't come with the program, okay, from my childhood, you could say, that allowed me to even think in these terms. All right, so we all come to earth with a certain kind of story and blah blah blah, and we can discuss it, and we do extensively in coaching, right? But the thing is, all right, but that is not the entire story. That's just part of that's just the setup. It's like, movies that start out kind of like wonky, and then it's a superhero situation at the end. That's you, my darling. You can become a superhero if you start claiming the power over the life that you are going to lead from here on. But the universe is paying attention to your commands. Just so you know, even right now, yes, you're not having that something or you're not having that someone. There's on some level that you're saying no to your manifestation yourself. So find out why. There's absolutely no mystery to it. When you align with this kind of power, you need to understand the responsibility of it also and use it wisely. But when you realize that it was always available to you and it was just a matter of consciousness that needed to shift from, again, the world is against me, or I don't understand something, I'm powerless, to I'm very powerful, I know exactly what I want, I'm going after it, and it's going to happen in a very short period of time. The difference is felt, right? Even as I'm saying these words, it's a profound difference between the two. But it's an idea that you need to start changing within your mind, because you clearly suffering the consequences of the first idea already. So if you could instruct the universe so specifically and get a replica of an experience, then you understand that the opposite will work just as well. And when you really grasp this idea, and again, this is why I offer coaching, then it will be, you won't have to do a thing. What your action is sending out the energy out there into the quantum field that will match the experience that you want and will be returned to you in the form of a person, version of a person, a circumstance, money, etc. This is why I also teach energy work in my coaching. And since you are intimately familiar with this person, it gives you even more of an advantage, because you know their energy, you know the sound of their voice, you know their presence, how it feels, the aura. You can do so many different things telepathically in a silent, dominant, magnetic way. You can think things into their mind. You can completely restructure your history with this person. I've done this in my personal life, completely changed everything into my favor like it's never been. It no longer spooks me. It was quite a difference, but it no longer spooks me because I know how it works with the parallel realities. You have a connection to this person and you really need to use it to your advantage. Whatever you're thinking to them, meaning in reference to them, or when you're thinking about them, whatever you're feeling, they're getting it as a text message. And this shebang needs to change so they get the new memo. When they get the new energetic memo from you of a very silent, magnetic, dominant, very kind of elegantly dominant person, meaning very confident and very stable, don't you know that the same SP that ran from you will be begging you to come back? Begging you to come back. Because the roles have just reversed. Now you know your shit. Now you know what you're doing. Now you know the kind of energy to send out into the world with purpose. With purpose, not haphazardly, not stumbling, not feeling unworthy, not questioning whether or not you deserve this, that, and the other, but claiming it. Just claim, like boldly, shamelessly claiming it. And what do you have to be ashamed of? You spend enough fucking years living miserable. I say it's over fucking due, okay, with percentage. If you silently accept and assume the change that just has occurred in your SP's mind, that's all that needs to happen. if you really marry that reality, that this is what they're thinking right now, this is what they're doing, provided, of course, you've cleansed any resentment you may have had towards them and any kind of other bullshit surrounding the situation, that energy has been cleared, and now you're very kind of clean slate, mind going in with new, fresh energy. Listen, there's no limit to how you can use this. You can literally become a master magician, but that is entirely your choice. But it, again, there's discipline, there's method to this, and you really need to understand that no one's going to do it for you. It's not going to just happen hoopla. It's produced out of your energy, and it's up to you entirely and only you how you're going to use your energy. Are you going to use your energy to be, in this lower kind of frequency vibration, feeling down? Or are you that fed up that now you're really, pissed off enough that I really want to go high up, goddammit, right? And so in the high up energy echelons, this is where you find your true power. The power is not when you're declaring yourself, I'm powerless, there's nothing I can do about it. You forgot your own power. You need to remind yourself. And here I am reminding you. And lastly, but certainly not least, but just to tie this up with the most important of all of this, the love for yourself, the genuine, sincere love for yourself, this passion for life, and the overall tune of your vibration, just the overall, not every second of the day, but the overall tune of your vibration, okay, will produce the things, the people, the circumstances, the amounts of money that you want. This is your authentic vibration. Whenever you're off track, whenever you feel anything less than love for yourself, love for life, faith in the ultimate kind of outcome for yourself, this is when you find yourself off track. And if you have been off track for quite some time, I'm definitely here to help, but understand that the process is gradual. You can't just ask for magic overnight when you have not had this process done for years and years. So there's, things to go through, things to process, things to talk about, etc., etc. So be gentle on yourself and understand that it all goes back to you, and only you can become magnetic because you're going to do the work. Nobody else can just, spread some dust over you, some fairy dust, and accomplish this for you. You're going to have to turn into a magnetic person and then realize the kind of power that you always had. Thank you very much for listening. All the information for me is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.